Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown. Oh, Black People Week coming up, huh?
Yeah, all right. Peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host, Niele Anderson. We're in day 7 of a government shutdown, and we have your headlines from HBCUs, PWIs, and more cruelty coming out of the Trump plan.
Oh gosh, yeah, just more cruelty is right. Let's start with what our producer has for us this morning, please.
Let's check it out.
Stop scrolling and listen up. The Trump administration is coercing colleges to adopt his political agenda or risk losing federal support. 9 schools have been asked to agree to give the government substantial control over who is admitted, what they can say and learn, and whether they can thrive on campus. This move is the latest in the Trump administration's pressure campaign on colleges and universities and can limit opportunity for Black students and professors if schools comply. Using public dollars to push a partisan political vision should raise major red flags for anyone interested in going to college, anyone who cares about equal access to education and the freedom to learn, and students of color across the country. This move is not about fairness. It's about control. Taxpayer dollars should not be used as partisan political strings. We've seen this tactic before, and we cannot let it play out unchecked. Students, parents, and alumni of these 9 schools should contact their provosts and urge the university not to sign the Trump administration's loyalty oath. Stop.
And this is what's going on, Niele, throughout the country with these schools, even as RNG was posting about this whole idea of Blexit on the HBCUs. Yeah.
I was just going to say we have more information on both of those stories a little bit later in the show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's out of control. And I even see the vice president has some strong words to the former vice president. So she did not mince words either. But the White House, folks, has continued to wage war against the American people, not through bombs or foreign troops. Of course, it's domestic troops, but through policies also that have stripped workers of their dignity, their pay, and their hope. The cruelty is no accident. It is deliberate, orchestrated, and flaunted as a spectacle of power. They've turned its might inward, and its victims are the citizens who once believed they were free. A newly released memo from the Office of Management and Budget claims that federal workers forced into furlough during the ongoing shutdown may not, probably will not, receive back pay once this shutdown ends. It's more cruelty from a very, very vile administration.
Yeah, Donald Trump said yesterday, I would say it depends on who we're talking about when discussing who would get paid and who wouldn't. So what does that mean? Does that mean that if you're a Republican, you get your paychecks? And if you're not, if you're a Democrat or independent or Green Party, you won't get your pay? I mean, this is ridiculous. And it's like, what I really like, I hate to say it, is I hope that more air traffic controllers call off of work. I want to see the United States do what Italy has done. I want to see the United States, we the people, shut this shit down, because that is the only way you are going to speak to these corporate greedy MFers, in the words of our vice president.
That's exactly what she said. Oh my God.
No, that's the only way, because once these individuals, so O'Hara was yesterday, right? the impact of the air traffic controllers hit Chicago yesterday. And what's going to happen is if these air traffic controllers and these TSA people start calling out, it's going to impact the bottom line of these airlines, which are Trump's corporate friends. And at this point in the game, to me, that's the only way these white, racist leaders in this country are going to feel the impact is if we, the people, start hitting them in their pockets and their friends' pockets.
Well, yeah, this is like you said. He said it depends. Basically, depends on who they are. They may get paid, may not get paid, or whatever. But it's a similar tactic that he's doing with funding for Democrat-led states. He's withholding. He and his crew are withholding funding from Democratic-led states. Again, I go back to Barack Obama, who many didn't agree and some did agree. But the fundamental thing is that he said, I am not the president for some people. I'm the president of all America. And this president is not the president for all America or all Americans. He's this is not a criticism of him either. That's what makes it even worse. It's not a criticism. It is what he embraces.
But guess what? He's not even the president of his own MAGA people. He is the president for his corporate, rich, greedy friends.
Right.
That's it and that's all. He don't even care about MAGA and the Trumpsters because guess what? They're losing all their benefits and they're part of that list that ain't gonna get paid too.
Yeah, and don't bring up the reparations thing because when it comes to Kamala and Democrats, because as Roland Martin was going off yesterday on the so-called FBAs,
and the
ADOs. He mentioned ADOs and FBAs. Where are they? The MAGA they had a reparations thing on the table.
Down one of the south. Carolinas. Yeah, yes. One of the Carolinas.
And the MAGA said no.
Yeah.
Well, where you at? Where you at?
Yeah, I might have to call some of my ADOS friends and see if we can get them on the show to talk about, how they feel about that, because they are really big at the forefront when it comes to reparations. I know, especially here in California. And so, they were very critical of the Black California state legislators out here when those bills didn't pass. And it was rightfully so. That was some trickery going on. And we also know that Governor Gavin Newsom has about at least 5 bills on his desk right now that he has yet to sign as it relates to reparations. Okay. But still, what's happening down there in the Carolinas and what the Republicans did, I would be interested to hear what they have to say, since they have so much to say about Black legislators and Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, their master done told them what they accepted from their master, but they won't accept it from a Black. At least they accused the Black woman of not wanting reparations. But their master say, "You're not getting it." Okay, boss. Yeah, boss. These guys. What I've found with many of them. Is that if you are Black and have any position of power anywhere, they will do anything what they can to denounce you.
Right.
Except maybe, Tariq Nasheed is not one who goes after Black people just because they're Black. But a lot of these guys who call themselves FBAs or whatever, simply because you're Black, they have stuff to say about Obama. They have stuff to say about Kamala. They have stuff to say about anybody Black in a position. And it's just so weird to me. But nonetheless, carry on.
And you know what? The reality is we're fighting for their rights too, because they have they should be able to feel how they feel and be liberated to say it. And so as we fight for our rights, we're fighting for theirs too. I mean, because this is a country to where back a few years ago, we were able to have, conversations where we agreed to disagree, and that's fine. But now we're in a totally different state. And so to the point that you're saying, I mean, I hope that those Black folks understand that at the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same liberties at this point in the game with that Trump clan.
And we should all be in that foxhole together. But nonetheless, it's we've said it and we know it's true. History has shown it's true that even during slavery, you had the house Negro.
Oh, of
So,
course.
so there you have people. It was black folks who killed Malcolm X. So look, we can go on and on. But in other news this morning, 2 white students at Louisiana State University were caught on video harassing their fellow black peers and neighbors. A series of doorbell camera videos exposed the racial harassment. It was shared by someone with the TikTok screen name of It's Xavier. And it had over 11.5 million views. And the TikToker says she and her roommate endured verbal abuse and racial slurs from their white neighbors yelling through the apartment walls of their off-campus complex. She says it's messed up, and that's why this is what they were yelling at, that their culture is messed up. They didn't say messed up, but you know what they said. One of the white students could be heard saying on the doorbell camera footage, referring to black culture, calling the N-word and everything, dumb N-word, and things of that nature. So this stuff, again, the attempt at intimidation is ramping up, Niele.
You know what I find fascinating? Those same white boys will be at the football and basketball games rooting for the black folks.
Yep.
Because they got on the purple and gold. Isn't that
Exactly.
LSU purple? And so it's like they have this mentality that, they still have like this master slave mentality. Like it's okay as long as you're doing something that I think you should be doing, or you're doing something for me, or you're doing my bidding. I just find that very bizarre how white people think versus other people think. It's real weird.
Well, it's simple. It's quite simple. Those type of people, it's like they see the slave working, they want the slave in the field, and that's it. The NFL, you've described it. We've described it. It's just like that. You got the so-called owner in the box looking down at the gladiators, and that's all those gladiators can do for them.
Right.
Is entertain them.
Right.
That's it. It's folks.
Look,
this is
the white monsters are back.
They're back.
They're back.
Dr. Joni Wright, performing for white people, and RNG is 100% right. ADOS and FBA only come around every 4 years if a black candidate is on the ballot. Of course, it's their mission, it seems. And like I said, it's so interesting because one of the more prolific of the FBA folks is Tariq, and Tariq is not anti-black, but many of them are anti-black. Tariq is not anti-black.
Tyreek, I think, is Tyreek. What's his last name?
Nasheed.
He's a comedian too.
He is a comedian, yeah.
Yeah, he's part-time comedian, part-time activist. I just find that so funny.
Yes. I don't find him to be anti-black though.
He's very liberal, but he walks a very thin line. You know what I mean? He knows he's provocative. He knows how to be provocative. Right. And so but ADOS, I find some interesting and some positive things about the things that they do. I do. I like what they do in the space of reparations. But to the point, I would love to hear what they have to say about these white folks down south saying no to reparations. I want to know what they have to say about that.
Right. You certainly held the gun to the heads of the black lawmakers. Where's the smoke?
Right.
Where's the smoke for the others? Folks, flipping the script a little bit. So you ever needed to get or know someone who needed to get approved by their health insurance carrier for a certain procedure, a certain blood work, or whatever it might have been? Well, there is a little known appeal that shows that if they deny you, you can actually overcome it. ProPublica, again, I just enjoy ProPublica. Every chance I get, I will boost them up. They did a great investigation on this, and they're finding that across America, I should say, families are being crushed by insurance denials, life-saving treatments rejected, patients told no by companies that gamble on your silence. But they investigated and found something very powerful, that you don't have to accept it. Hidden deep inside those denial letters is your right to fight back. And external not internal, external appeal that can force insurers to pay. Independent reviewers often rule in favor of patients. So don't give up. They tell you, don't let bureaucracy decide your fate. You have the right to appeal and the power to win. And what they're saying, folks, if you go to, it says, every state has a CMS, Centers for Medical, whatever, right? CMS, CMA, I don't know. Look it up. But you could, if you go through your state, they will help you with an appeal of a denial. A lot of people do not use this. They will help you though with that appeal, and the appeal will not be to from people. If you have, for instance, Blue Cross, it will not be Blue Cross deciding that appeal. Most times when you appeal a rejection directly, you're appealing it to the same people who denied it. It's like a judge. He never overturns himself. It's always the higher court that does so. So in this case, ProPublica has found that the vast majority of folks who have used that external appeal win, and they get the coverage that they need. So keep that in mind. I think it's a really good thing. There's a list. If you go to ProPublica website and look up that particular article, there is hyperlinks to this consumer assistance program. There you go. Thanks, Greer. Always rescuing me. CMS.gov. And it takes it by state, and it tells you which state has state grants and which state has federal grants. And the federal grants may have expired or they're not honoring them, but the states are still honoring them, including red states, by the way. So wherever you might live, look that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great information, especially with the state of our nation. And I think it brings up a larger conversation of bring back consumer affairs. Remember on the news, on local news, where you would have this anchor and they would talk from your cell phone to your electricity bill to your health care, and they would let you know that you have power. And I think that's what these corporations are buried in the fine print. Our rights, our rights to, appeal things, our rights to, get refunds, our rights to have certain things that we don't know about. And so I think that's great information, Stacy. And I just wish we could get some more, because when we fight back, even like think about airline fees, and all of this extra taxing they're doing, this luggage, and if you want an extra space in your seat, you know what I'm saying too, what you're talking about, healthcare, all of these things I think can be challenged. Yes. But because we just go along with it, there's no challenges for it. So bring back consumer affairs.
And not that we just go along with it. I think a lot of times you find, Niele, and maybe you found this to be true too in certain situations, just, you know what, I don't have time for that.
Right.
And when it comes to your health, I mean, look, I do it myself sometimes too, but we should always have time for it. Dr. Joni says, just like big corporations, they prey on people giving up and just not fighting to appeal or to, in some cases, get their refunds back. They make money off people, off making it hard for people to fight. And Dr. Marilyn says insurance companies are paid well for denials. Mm-hmm. And so
it's just like car insurance. Like you pay into car insurance every single month, and 9 chances out of 10, you're not having a car accident, but they're getting all this money. But the minute that something happens, or what about even the fires that happen here in California, or home insurance?
Yes.
You pay all of this money for years, and the minute something happens and it's time to collect, oh, well, you have house insurance, but you don't have a weather insurance, or it doesn't say. Now, we didn't give you hurricane insurance, but we get, you know what I'm saying? So it's things like that where they get you. And I think that's where consumer affairs can really be helpful when helping you point out your rights and what you can and you have access to.
Yeah. Well, folks, so we're gonna lighten it up a little bit.
Well, the Fed. There's a couple more comments.
Okay.
Not the Fed says any insurance is a scam, especially with when the government requires it.
A lot of people make that argument, Niele.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
For
of people
sure.
make that argument. We're gonna lighten it up, I think, a little bit. Certainly want your comments on this. It's a talk on social media. Cam Newton has social media ablaze, the former football star, with his demand to know his girlfriend's body count. We have a clip. Let's take a listen to what Cam had to say.
Her list.
Of who she
I want to
Names,
know. I
addresses?
needed to know. I have
Oh
to.
my God.
And I'm going to tell you why, though. I want to know. Because before I sit up here and really keep moving and elevating our relationship, I want to know who got one up on me. And if I'm willing to take on that burden, because why I want to know? If you had any type of relationship, intimacy, experiences with people that I really know, I need to know that. I'm owed that. Because if you don't give me that, you got me, hey y'all, this my girl. And you got somebody over there in that corner like, that I don't know. What's up, my boy? You good? She bad, ain't she? Yeah, that's mine. Baby, you want some juice? You want some punch?
But you're a special man because a lot of they're too insecure to actually really hear that.
That has
You're a
nothing
special man.
That has nothing to do with insecurity. But this is where I want women to understand. If she had been with somebody that was close to me, I would have had to respectfully, I'm not there yet. I can't.
Not that grown yet.
I can't carry that weight yet.
Right.
Got it.
I see what RNG. I generally don't pay attention either to Cam Newton. I agree wholeheartedly what you said, RNG, that he has coonish tendencies. But this one caught my attention only because everywhere I turned, every platform I turned to, they were talking about it. Let me say this, and Niele, you certainly going to have the last word on this one, but let me say this. When I first heard it, I said, this guy is such an idiot, because he is an idiot to me, in my opinion. He's an idiot. But when he kind of broke it down, I kind of get that, okay, if she has been with your best friend or your brother or whatever, perhaps it might be good to say, hey, we had a relationship or whatever. Perhaps. I kind of get that, but this idea... Listen, to each their own, but this idea that, he did admit, though, that he couldn't handle it, that, his ego or whatever, but I don't know. I'll let you take it, Niele.
No, I think context matters. And it wasn't just that he wanted to know her body count. He was just more specifically interested to know if one of my boys, you slept with one of my boys, I need to know. And I think I would want that same courtesy too. It's not so much how many women you slept with, but if you slept with one of my homegirls, I need to know that, because I want to be able to make the decision to say, you know what I'm saying? Because things can get a lot of tricky with alcohol and a good weekend vacation, And so I'm with Cam Newton in the context of if it's one of my homies. Now, I don't need to know if you slept with Becky, Sue, and LaQuisha. I mean, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But if you slept with the homegirl, I need to know.
Off limits.
I need to know. And I'm with not the Fed. It's a fair question in the context of if it's one of my family members or my friends or acquaintances.
Now, and Helen Brown says, what's his body count? Now, I will say this. Jasmine Brown, his girlfriend, said that she loved, this is her quote, I love that he asked it because she said it was a, quote, weight off of her chest.
Oh, so she has slept with one of the homies.
She didn't say that, but it kind of like.
I mean, that's what he said. He was like, "I need to know about the." Oh, okay. So see, he got wind of something. Somebody put a little bug in his ear.
Well, now they didn't say all that.
Question.
They didn't say all that. Now, so you kind of.
You can read between the lines if she said, "I'm glad he asked," because definitely it was bugging her. Like, damn, should I tell her that I slept with the homie or the cousin? Should I tell her?
Well, see, Now Greer says I had to tell. She said she had to tell her ex way back when, if you sleep with her, you ain't getting none of this. She said she told him straight up.
Yeah, I agree with Cam. Like, I want to know. I don't need to know who, but I just need to know if it's in proximity to me.
She said I can't do it, but wait a minute. So you said proximity, but then you do need to know who, right?
If like I say, if it's somebody that I am friends with, that I am related to, even that I work with, one of my colleagues, I need to know, because I can't be parading you around and they know, because then guess what that means? They think that you and them have a secret. You know, the Escape song, You're My Little Secret, and that's how we should keep it. That is giving You're My Little Secret vibes.
See, Greer needs to just join the conversation because she's got a lot to say back there. but I'm telling you, she said, nah, son.
But yeah, I need to know, you know, because that means that there's a secret that I don't know about, and I'm supposed to be the best friend.
Okay, but here's the other part of it, right? So here's the other part of it. So I don't like, if you have dated somebody that close to me, I can't get down like that. Like
but it's too late now. If he's been with this girl for a while, so if he's asking now, you're already in. Like, that's a question you probably should have asked
before.
Right. But now that they're in, he just want to know, and so you know,
so what are you gonna do? Dump past it?
Huh? No, I just think he needs to know. He just wants to know. He might have got wind of something, right? And he does, you know what I mean? He might have got wind from somebody.
One of my perhaps my closest person I grew up with and stuff, Reg, him and I would hang out and stuff. There is no way I would ever, and it would be off limits. Right.
But what if you didn't know? I mean, what if you didn't know? That, I think, to me, that's the way I took the conversation is that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And so that's different from, I know that you used to mess with this guy and I'm going to mess with him anyway. That's different than me meeting you, we're dating, and then 6-7 months down the line, you know, I may find out that I slept with one of your friends. I didn't know that was your friend.
So not the Fed says these questions tend to come up weeks after smashing and not up front when they should have. And that's very true.
Right.
That is very true.
Which opens up a bigger can of worm about how you go into something. You know, are you asking the right questions on the first few dates?
Yeah, and problem is, I think a lot of these guys, especially these athletes, they just getting in without asking anything. They look going on physical appearance only.
Right. And because guess what? They don't want no relationship.
Or they just exactly. I guess that's the bottom line.
They're not looking for something until they're looking for something. Right? And then after a few weeks, as not the Fed says, then you're gonna say, oh, wait a minute. You get, like you said, get wind of something, and not the Fed says it's weeks later. Now they got wind of something. Right. And just imagine, like, you get wind of something, and then you start like, okay, we was at dinner with them.
Yep.
And they were kind of chummy. You know, then your mind, like in the words of the Ghetto Boys, your mind start playing tricks on you.
And how about you at the supermarket? She's at the supermarket, and she comes home and says, oh, guess who I just ran into? And then later you find out. And now you start to wonder, was that a chance encounter? See, all the types of stuff.
Yeah. So to Cam's point, you know, in the context of what he said, I agree with him. I agree. I need to know, okay? I don't need to, like I said, I don't need to know about Becky, Shaquisha, and Sarah.
Why are you always putting Shaquisha in it? Shaquisha is not
because you know, most athletes like 31 flavors, okay? They picky. They like 31 flavors. Okay?
They do. A lot of a lot of them like the vanilla flavor though. That's unbelievable. I need some, some Rocky Road stuff.
Okay, all right. And speaking of Rocky Road, HBCUs might be headed to a rocky road this homecoming season as Candace Owens and Blexit plan to take over HBCUs. Now, in a Charlie Kirk style tour, Owens plans to take her Black conservative friends to Howard, Hampton, Tennessee State, FAMU, and a few other schools. And the tour, get this, guys, is sponsored by Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization.
She's another one. Remember, it was just recently that there was this small debate. It wasn't a big debate, and it should not have been, whether she should be invited back to the cookout. And the answer was an emphatic no, and it's going to always be an emphatic no. And so I guess she realized too that she's wormed her way back into, or trying to worm her way back into the good graces of the MAGA folks, because she was losing that too. So, this grifter will grift to anything.
I think this is gaslighting though. And it is not for a good mix. I mean, just, what historically what HBCUs are, why they were needed. Let's go back to the root of what an HBCU is. I mean, she could have took this to PWIs. To do that, it's gaslighting, especially to know that the state of our nation and what we're in and how we're going backwards. And for you to want to come and want to promote a racist organization, MAGA and Republicans right now are, to me, equal to the Klan. So you're telling me that you want to come to our campus as Black people and promote the Klan? Somebody gonna get their ass beat. A good old fashioned ass kicking.
I do remember that. Grid says that they tried to come on the show to promote Brexit. We wasn't having that. Certainly Grid wasn't having it for sure. But Mike V mentions that the president of France, Macron, he's suing her, Macron and his wife. And hopefully,
he dropped it though.
Did he drop the suit?
It went away. I think it went away.
He didn't. The way it was going, it sounded like he was going he was going full Cardi B on her. Because Cardi don't drop no lawsuits.
Right, she really does. She takes all your pennies.
Yes.
But this right here, I just feel like it is just like so disrespectful to even the Black experience, to the historical context of what an HBCU is. For her to want to come, I mean, especially in the state of our nation and what is happening, for them to do, to me, it's gaslighting.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you said, it's gaslighting, and that's what she does. And she's got a few folks in blackface to come with her too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Helen Brown says if she wants to debate, she needs to debate someone her own age. Not the Fed said MAGA is more scary. They are pushing religion on folks. Yeah, I mean, religion was used for slaves. The slave Bible, of course. Quinn says whatever contract she signed must be crazy. And Mike B says, I like to see Candace Owens and Jasmine Crockett debate.
Yeah, whatever contract she signed has to be crazy. The contract she signed she signed it a long time ago, and it was like she was sitting across the table from Satan and it said on the contract soul, and she signed it.
All right, let's head over to a PWI in relation to our producer's pick. USC, who was one of those 9 institutions that is asked to sign the Trump pledge, announced that it is one of the 9. They received the letter from Donald Trump about it's called his Compact Academic Excellence in Higher Education. They're calling it a compact. Now, the compact program would give universities preferred access to federal funding in exchange for implementing Trump's policies that include limits on international students, freezing tuitions, and refraining from commenting on political issues, among other demands. Now, President Kim of USC said he would consult with the boards and other faculties within USC. And if USC does sign does sign the compact, they annually have to affirm the compact principles, survey the students, and would be subject to DOJ review.
It's too much.
That is deep. That is deep.
It's just too much. It's Wednesday. I said it's not even time to have a
Can
scotch.
you believe that? I mean, it's like wild. They're calling it the compact. Sign the compact pledge. And you know, and now that I'm seeing all of these things that are happening at USC, like they are cutting faculty tremendously. Just yesterday, their engineers program, their student employees, they had to like let all of them go, and then they had to reapply for the job if they wanted it because they downsized the numbers. So it's a lot happening, and so basically Donald Trump has taken all of their funding and basically said, if you want it back, take the pledge.
Yeah, folks, if you haven't recognized it yet, this is exactly how Mussolini took over, how Hitler took over. This is the same pattern that all these others, Gaddafi, Idi Amin. This is all the same pattern. There is nothing new under this sun. Same patterns, education, everything.
Yeah, right. Patricia Jackson says, pledge loyalty for funds and not the Fed. Says, anyone remember the Crusades? I don't. What are the Crusades?
Sounds familiar. I can't explain it until somebody else starts explaining it. I'll say, oh yeah, that's it. But so that's what's happening over there. And of course, he's starting with these 9. But let's see, once you get these 9, guess what? And this is what now I'll be interested to see if Barack Obama is going to say something, because when things were happening at Howard and his alma maters, he was like, they need to stand up and speak out. And I'm hoping these 9 universities do the same, because if they take that pledge, it's over. No more free speech on these campuses. Period. Well, and that's the point of it, right? We talk all the time about the networks and by the way, we mentioned Al Sharpton yesterday and MSNBC. Now Trump has ordered the FCC to go after MSNBC. So the Crusades, by the way, were a series of religious wars initiated, supported, and at times directed by the Pope during the Middle Ages. Yeah.
Orangey said the holy wars, Christians versus Muslims. That is the Crusades. Started by the Pope. Okay. Started by
the Pope. Just wanted to, before you move on, another comment I missed. Dr. Marilyn says, I always wondered what went wrong in Candace Owens' life. She hates Black people. A lot went wrong in Candace Owens' life, a whole lot. And we can spend a whole hour on that.
Please no. I'd rather talk about the Diddy trial. I'm just keeping it real. So in more Trump cruelty, the Trump plan is set to offer unaccompanied minors $2,500 to self-deport, y'all. Okay, so the government will provide a one-time resettlement, supports a stipend to the children, according to a memo detained by The Guardian. So this is something that they're doing internally. Stephen Miller and all the Klan in the White House, they're like, oh, let's give these young 5, 6, 7, 12, 13. I'm not talking about 16, 17, which are minors as well, but I'm talking about young kids, $2,500 to go to some country they've never been for, might not even know the language, and just give them $25 and tell them to figure it out.
The kids, they're offering kids
$2,500.
Folks, and where is the outrage?
Right.
Where's the outrage?
I mean, this is wild. This is
Yeah, we have seen the ICE terrorists put little kids in what do you call it, zip ties, and the outrage is not really there. I think a long time ago, even before this MAGA stuff, we started to see kind and the care about and the compassion for kids in this country. And now it's full born. It's full blown. It's blown out. When a nasty old pastor that used to be Trump's advisor can actually assault a 12-year-old and get sentenced basically to home to what's called a probation. We see the lack of concern, the lack of respect, and the lack of love, the genuine lack of love for small children in this country. It's alarming.
Yeah, and what Dr. Joni is saying is, where is the reporting other than here? This wasn't mentioned anywhere that I have seen this week in mainstream media. That's what I'm talking about, Dr. Joni. It's like the things that this administration is pushing out and is doing, and we're just going about our days, is wild. And in the minute before we look up, we are going to be under martial law.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's going to be. I'll say, I'm not going to say it's going to be too late, because it's never too late. But the way that this administration is ramping up just the vile cruelty among people of color, and nobody's paying attention. It is quite disturbing.
It's like you have said that yes, people have argued about immigration reform, and there's a way of doing that. There is nobody who has half of a heart that can support what they're seeing. You have to be of a sick mind to support what you've been seeing. You have to be depraved and disgusting, and you're the type of person that you don't mind seeing them suffer for about 12 years and die of a very slow, painful death. I'm just, I mean, you have to be. There are people like Candace Owens and people who speak to say that they are for what's going on here.
Well, Big Cheese says,
if I had a
Big Cheese says, I support Trump's immigration policies to get the folks out of the U.S.
That's just that right there is gaslighting, and that's just trolling, because obviously this person is either off their medication, need their medication, or disguising themselves as a Black person who really is, a very hateful racist in himself. It's got to be one or the other. It's nothing.
Right. And
somebody who was probably molested as a child.
Well, I mean,
and never got help.
That's a little too far.
I mean,
but I'm just saying, it's okay to want immigration reform. I think a lot of Black people want, a lot of Americans, most Americans want reform, whether it's immigration reform, whether it's gun reform, whether it's healthcare reform, whether it's education reform, whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's prison reform. We get this country needs reform, but there is a way that you do it. Everybody likes to bring up Barack Obama. I don't know if the stat is still the same now, but he deported more immigrants than any other president. But guess what? It was done in a respectful way.
Very much so.
What this Trump clan administration is doing is cruel, and it is reminiscent of their origins of bringing slaves over here. It's reminiscent of slave catchers, and it's reminiscent of white racist actions. That's what this Trump administration is all about.
There has never been an FBI or a local police statistic that showed crime by immigrants even came close to crime by American citizens crime committed by immigrants. There's nothing ever. I dare anyone to find that, because it doesn't exist. There has never been a stat to also show that immigrants are taking your jobs There's never been a stat
We don't want to
say
do
that
it. We don't want
immigrants,
to do it.
right? That immigrants are getting tax refunds that you're not getting. They're not. They're not getting social services because they are undocumented. There's, in other words, show me where an immigrant, whether they're here legally or not, where it has hurt you.
Right. Expat, and I was just about to say the same thing. They are taking jobs no one will do. Black folks ain't picking shit no more, okay? we don't want to sell no oranges on the corner, okay?
And they have said that, right?
Flowers, we're not doing that.
The MAGA folks have said that. Oh gosh, we don't got nobody to tend to our crops now.
And it's not gonna be. And guess what?
Right.
Guess who it's not gonna be? It ain't gonna be us.
Exactly.
It ain't gonna be. You better go down to the rural and go get John Boy and Billy Bob.
Exactly.
Go and pull the hoods off and take their ass to the cabbage fields and let them pick it. Yes, since y'all so concerned and y'all don't want the immigrants, the undocumented immigrants here, y'all go pick the shit.
Yeah, it's just asinine that folks, whether you black, white, or whatever, to get excited about what you are seeing, the inhumanity, the separating the families, taking the little babies and putting them in zip ties and putting them in a back of a U-Haul truck and taking them, shipping them off, disappearing them. And I support that. Are you kidding me?
And the people now that are a part of ICE, I don't even think they've been deputized. Forget deputized. I don't even think they've been trained or deputized. And they are just letting anybody. They don't even have on full uniforms. All they have on white t-shirts, jeans, and a mask, and maybe a can of mace.
And once again, the untruth that this individual claims that they are getting welfare subsidized. They are not. They are not. We have done millions of research, millions of stories. They are not. They are not getting subsidized housing. What they generally do is perhaps you can take a lesson and everyone else can take a lesson. When they come over here, what they generally do is about 20 of them find jobs, live together to pay the bills and make it easier for the next person in their family. That's what they do. They are not signed. You cannot get these benefits if you don't have a Social Security number, a legitimate Social Security number. But here's what they are doing and have been doing, even though they can't get those social services that you get or you can get. They're paying taxes that many of you won't. That Trump's friends detest. Trump himself detests paying taxes. They are paying taxes.
Right. EC, what is that? 021 PGO says, I remember at the WIC office being full of illegal immigrants benefiting from the program under Barack Obama administration. But when Trump became president, I saw the WIC office clear the, I'm not going to say it, undocumented. We'll say undocumented.
Fundamentally untrue, because once again, if they are undocumented or illegal, as you like to say, they are not eligible and they do not have the paperwork to get this stuff. It is fundamentally untrue.
But some of the stuff they do,
racist
some of the stuff they do have, but some of the stuff they do have access to. I mean, like I'm saying, I'm with reform, but there's a way that you do it. There's a way that you do it.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say something really quickly about this, because I think this is where a lot of the confusion lies for most Americans. You know, a lot of Americans, they complain about people having access to social services that they themselves don't pursue. It isn't that you couldn't get it, you didn't pursue it, or you didn't 100%. Qualify for whatever reason. I don't know. But for New York, for instance, there was complaint about housing immigrants, right? But there is a constitutional law that stated, and I don't know how much this has changed, but the New York State government has a constitutional duty to house all homeless people, right? And so part of the problem is for most Americans is that we don't understand the law, right? We do not understand the law. So they're not getting special privileges,
right?
But there's a constitutional duty that some states have, because that's what's written in their state constitution, to house people, right? And why would we be upset about someone getting some food and shelter? It's not they're not living high on the hog. A lot of times they're living, in unsafe hotel, welfare hotel. They're not always, those things aren't always safe, but they're available to everyone. And so what we are becoming more conditioned to be as Americans is as cruel as the government that we criticize.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
100%.
And that's just, I just had to throw that in there, because I think that that's where a lot of the confusion is. And you learn what your state or your government, is constitutionally, bound to do. And
or
if
even
go ahead, honey.
I was gonna say, even the laws, there are certain states, like here in California, there are law friendlies that are created to help undocumented immigrants. Like undocumented people can have driver's license. So there are some liberties, but that's what I'm talking about, reform. If
Mm-hmm.
there is something that you don't like, civic participation is one-on-one. Some of these things that you're complaining about, the people voted for. Some of these rights that undocumented people have, the people voted for them to have them. Or
Mm-hmm.
to Greer's point, it's the state constitution. You know what I'm saying? And so it's about reform. It's about all of us participating in government. If you don't like something, participate in making it what you think it should be.
Right.
But we're here now. We're here
Right.
now. And the way that this Trump clan administration is doing things is not of decent. It's not in order. It's not humane. And it's very scary.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And again, once again, how is it hurting you that an immigrant is working, moving somebody's home or working on somebody's roof or working in somebody's field?
Right.
How is it hurting you that maybe they were able to get a WIC check, if you will? How is that hurting you that one in probably 1,000 are able to get a social service benefit? How is that hurting you? Especially if you're going about your everyday, if you're working, maybe you're not working. Maybe you are too lazy to go after the services that Greer talked about that is available to you. And maybe that jealousy, that laziness is leading to your jealousy.
Right. All Americans, like in New York, for instance, the shelter is available to all who are homeless. Mm-hmm. If immigrants are the ones who are showing up, first of all, they're not. Let's just start there. Okay. Right. But we allow mainstream in particular to focus on that, to get us to argue with one another. These groups, to feel like somebody is getting something that someone else. That's a game. And we need to really get some real perspective. When we look at what's happening right now, our government is shut down. Right. And these rich people, these billionaires are getting paid and capitalizing off of that. But we're arguing about who gets what. Right. Because everybody, knock it off.
Right. Mm-hmm. And speaking of services, children across the country are being removed from Medicaid, and the Children's Health Insurance Program known as CHIP. Now, in total, just over 6 million children have been removed from the program between March 2023 and June of 2025. Now, millions of adults and children are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage because of the new federal policies following the passing of Trump's big ugly bill.
And like Greer says, yet we argue because someone who wasn't born here is, in some people's view, getting a benefit, and yet millions of children
that are legal
are not getting health care because of this administration. Yeah.
And all of these things are happening and we're not seeing it on the news. We're picking up Trump sound bites and we're misconstruing them, just like the Diddy headline that went viral. But the real question was about Epstein and Maxwell and Donald Trump, and so it's like, what is happening even in our media, the things that are impacting us, it's not being heard anymore. It's getting lost, and it's piling up like a big ass pile of shit. Okay, it's just piling up. It's piling up, and in a minute, it's gonna stink so bad, and everybody's gonna be like, "What is that smell?" And the question is gonna be, "Where have you been?"
Where have you been? And again, just to punctuate it, Greer says we are upset. Some are upset because 2 out of 20 are getting something because they showed up. You got homeless Americans on the street who don't want help.
Right. That's a huge problem. Like we were talking about that. You have all of these, especially here in LA, you have all of these buildings, and the workers that service the unhoused, they can't even get the people to go into the homes because they don't want the restrictions, or they don't want to have to follow the rules.
And here, thank you so much for this comment, learning to love myself, because this is it in a nutshell. People confuse refugees and asylum seekers with illegal immigrants.
Well, what's the difference for those of us who don't know?
Refugees and asylum seekers are people who are fleeing war-torn or otherwise dangerous places, seeking refuge or sanctuary somewhere where they're out of the dangers of their country or territory, wherever they come from. It's no different than you know, so many people say, okay, I can't take New York, I'm going down to South Carolina. They're going for a better life.
No, I get it, but doesn't that still make the refugee and asylum seekers an undocumented immigrant once they get over here?
Well, it does make them an undocumented immigrant, but you know, there are many who, I would dare say most, do seek. And like she said, asylum seekers, they do seek legal status. And what's wrong with that? This is supposed to be we're supposed to be the epitome of a free world, right? The United States. And someone is in a dictatorship country. Now we have a dictatorship, but someone's in a dictatorship country or a war-torn country, or just like you're saying that those folks from Ukraine should not have been allowed to go into Poland and other places. Those folks fleeing the war there. That's so ludicrous to say, just stay there and die.
So Not the Fed says no. If you are seeking asylum, you have to apply. So you have docs. You have to apply. You have to be an undocumented,
right? And most do.
You're saying that you could be over here in the United States and be a refugee or seek an asylum, but you're not an undocumented immigrant. Is it one of the same?
So it's one of the same, really, because understand, once you get here, once you come across that ocean, and you don't have papers or anything like that, you probably couldn't get papers or anything like that because you are fleeing a dangerous situation. You're immediately undocumented, and in some views illegal immediately. So
it's the why. So everybody is an undocumented immigrant, but it's like, what is your why? Like, I just came over here to have a better life, but some people are seeking asylum or they're refugees because of the conditions of their country. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there and let's also not miss the point too. This mark, I should say, the face of, and I think Greer said that too. The face of undocumented has become brown people of color, right? There are just as many, if not more, Europeans who have fled here. From Eastern Europe in particular. And no one said, look at Melania Trump.
Right.
Eastern European.
Yeah. Don't forget, you guys, there is a moveon.org petition to detain Melania. It's over on moveon.org.
As I said, I will take Melania and her kids for a trade. Y'all take Trump.
All right, let's jump in. We got another one about the shutdown. So the shutdown has led to the closure of one of Atlanta's most significant civil rights landmarks, the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park, leaving visitors disheartened after traveling from across the country. Now, tourists who arrived hoping to visit Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Dr. King once preached, and the adjoining visitor center were instead met with locked doors and empty grounds. I mean, but they could have went to church on Sunday because Senator Raphael Warnock is still the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, right? He's a pastor over there. So they could have went to church on Sunday. Just saying. If you wanted to see it. Or maybe we'll go to Bible study. But on a serious note, this is another thing that is happening all across the country. We reported last week that the African American Smithsonian didn't know if they would be open this week because of the federal shutdown. And so, people going to Washington, D.C., all the Smithsonian museums are affected by that. As well as you see, the King Memorial and lots of other national parks. They say that some of the parks are going to remain open, but the park rangers say that's dangerous because they don't have the staff to man the parks if a bear comes or, whatever. And so our country is at a very critical place. And I just think that people don't understand the state of our nation right now. Yeah. Especially when you look at how other countries across the world are responding. You know, that they're out there protest, that they are shutting everything down. And we're just kind of like, moving on. And last but not least, sad news coming out of Michigan. Longtime CBC member Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick passed away yesterday at the age of 80. Now, she represented Michigan and served in Congress from 97 to 2011, and her legacy was rooted in service, family, and breaking barriers. And she's also the mother of former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick.
Oh, Kwame with all his problems.
Who was pardoned by Trump.
This guy, Kwame has a wild story though. He gets in trouble. He has a chance to make amends, gets in trouble again, and then finally he gets a pardon.
Yeah. But right now we're gonna give him a little grace because his mama died. Yes. We're gonna talk about you later, Kwame. Right now, prayers of peace that surpasses all understanding.
Kwame's story was on that A&E that I used to watch this show all the time, American Justice. And it was so interesting.
Wow, look at that picture. Put that picture back up, Greer, because all of those people, Cummings, Jackson Lee, they're all gone. I don't know about the gentleman on the end and the woman in the corner, but the three in the middle, they've all gone to glory.
They're gone. It's not Emmanuel Cleaver on the left, but it's not. Wow. Boy. Anyway, and lastly, on that note, because I see a couple of comments there, Dr. Marilyn and Greer, the shutdown. We worried about these immigrants and all that, but the shutdown, everybody's not getting paid. Nobody's getting paid. Nobody's getting health care. But
Congress is getting paid.
Right. I was going to say. That's what Dr. Joni and Dr. Marilyn are saying. Congress is still getting paid, and they have the best health care possible. They don't have premiums. They don't have copays.
Right.
They don't have anything except free this, free that. And y'all want to yell about somebody else.
Yeah. Now, some of the Democrats have either put in a request not to be paid, or they're going to donate their paychecks to whatever is happening in their congressional districts. I haven't seen that come out of any of the Republicans.
and Dr. Marilyn makes a great point. In less than 30 days, all services will be cut. Social services, he says, let's see how the crime rate goes up. And Dr. Marilyn, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Marilyn understands what she's saying there, because that's what the president wants, so that it helps his cause of determining that it's martial law and all of that stuff. That's what he wants.
Yeah, and people are going to get more and more desperate, which makes crime rise. You know what I'm saying? And the
Mhm.
thing about it, we were on such a good trajectory. As far as just stability, like this country has no stability right now, period, none whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
I think Greer has a. I'm sorry. I think
oh,
she
go
has a
ahead.
clip for us.
They're trying to crash the economy so that they can buy everything up for pennies on the dollar. And they want to get rid of any public services that our tax dollars pay for and privatize them so they can profit on that too. But they'll still take our tax dollars and then we'll pay them more for less. That's the whole plan. We'll be indebted to our government that will own us. That's how Russia started to become what they are. They own everything, and you live and work and struggle and pay everything to them just to survive. Yeah. Doesn't that sound fun? Yeah. Prices keep going up. Salaries aren't going up. Everything's so expensive. The numbers, the jobs, the economy, everything is being kept from us. That's what's happening. We're making rich people rich, and they're making us poor.
As that caption says, she absolutely nailed it.
And that needs to go into every MAGA, Trumpster, Republican inbox. Everybody that voted for Trump, they need to get that.
Country, we're so hot. They're trying to crash the economy.
They're trying that at 100%. And so y'all want to go ahead and talk about y'all happy with this? Yeah, sure. And they probably the ones saying that they're good with this are the ones those behind there, those little keyboard warriors saying they're good with this, they're good with Trump or whatever. They're suffering just like everyone else, and they're too proud to admit it or too stupid to understand it.
Or they're too racist. The racism is driving them. They like to see people of color, be the victims of their demise, and I think that is like one of the strongest spirits of this nation is racism and hatred that comes from them. They are their ancestors' wildest dreams. And we used to, I have a t-shirt that says it used to be proud of it, but at the end of the day, so are they.
Yeah, exactly. A little Black history, because they want to erase all Black history. And so we're here to make sure that we continue to keep it up. On this date in 1894, Norbert Rouleau died at the age of 88, the son of a white plantation owner and an enslaved Black woman. Norbert invented a machine that changed the way in which sugar was made from sugar cane. The machine produced a higher quality sugar and made the process less dangerous. Teams of enslaved people ladled the hot liquid from kettle to kettle until sugar crystals began to form. So he wanted to make the process safer and more efficient. So he came up with the idea of the multiple effect pan evaporator, where sugarcane juice was heated in a vacuum pan and steam produced by the heated juice was then used to heat cane juice in a connected pan. The process saved fuel and produced better sugar. It also used less manpower. Similar evaporators are still used to make sugar and other products, including soap and glue. So this guy who, what's really interesting, Niele, about Norbert is that when he was born, his white slave owner father, declared him free immediately. So he was able to go to France and get an education, but he never forgot that his mother was a slave. He never forgot that all those around him were slaves. They're working in those fields, in the sugar fields, the sugarcane fields. And so he came up with this invention to make it easier for them and everyone else.
Wow. I love us. We're so rich, in knowledge, self-taught, self-taught. I mean, and that's why that's what they hate the most is that no matter what condition in this nation white folks have tried to put black people in the words of Maya Angelou, yet we still rise, and we still, you give us a bucket of lemonade, we're gonna make lemonade. I mean, a bucket of lemons, we're gonna make lemonade, lemon bars, lemon pie, and everything else. This speaks to that, especially when you talk about why he did it. He did it to make it easier for us, for our ancestors. That's such a beautiful story.
And that whole idea of not forgetting from whence you came.
Right. That was still
so
in the
many
back
today.
Of his mind.
Right. So many today. We have too many today who have so-called made it. They got theirs, but they don't want to see the rest of us have ours. That's a shame.
Not the fact that lemon wine. I never had no lemon wine, but I'm willing to taste it.
You're willing to taste it. Okay.
I'm willing to taste it. All right. And on this day in 1987, the king of rock and roll, I'm talking about Chuck Berry, was honored with the 1,857th star on the world famous Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, his film biography, Hell, Rock and Roll, also premiered on the same night to celebrate his legacy.
Yeah, the greatest right there. As aptly stated, and even Elvis called him the king of rock and roll because he simply was the king. And let's not, always remember where that music, that Elvis and the Beatles and everyone else, the Rolling Stones and others, made so much money and fame off of, came from where?
Okay, so it's Chuck Berry. Now, I saw this, but I was like, I thought Little Richard said he invented rock and roll.
Little Richard says he's the inventor, the originator, as he says. But Little Richard also says that has always said that Chuck Berry was the king as well. Chuck Berry, so many learned and followed Chuck Berry.
Okay. So who came first, though, Little Richard or Chuck Berry?
So based on what I understand from Little Richard, he was the first. But then
Little Richard was the first.
Right, but first doesn't make you king.
That is true.
And I don't think Little Richard ever claimed to be king. I think he was always, I'm the originator, the emancipator.
Okay, so he is the originator, emancipator, and Chuck Berry is the king. Okay, I get it. I can rock with that. I get it.
It's like Aretha is the queen of soul, right?
Yeah, she is the queen of soul. She is the queen of soul.
Oh, man, there he is.
Oh, look at that.
That's an awesome picture, right?
Right. That's an awesome picture. It's giving me Jimi Hendrix vibe.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Of course, Jimi Hendrix came after him. Of course.
Yeah. Wow. It's so much history that they want to take away, Niele. So much history.
I know. And it's like, where do we find it? That's why we just have to keep encouraging you guys to support Black owned media.
Right. Not Black targeted.
Right.
Black owned.
And I'm doing a little research to find out those local networks that Byron Allen sold. I'm interested to see if Sinclair and the other entity bought those stations, because if they did, then I think Byron Allen sold us out.
Uh-oh. Byron's in trouble.
I mean, if they bought those networks,
like,
come on, dude, you were supposed to buy it as a symbol of, building Black owned media, and you sold us out, and now you're taking the McDonald's money, and you got your Snow Bunny.
And you got Snow Bunny. Uh-oh, look out.
Okay, I'm done.
Our Black owned newspaper of the day is the Black Chronicle in Oklahoma. The Black Chronicle newspaper services the Oklahoma City metro area's African American community. It has grown into one of the largest paid weekly newspapers in the state of Oklahoma. Currently, the Black Chronicle serves the entire state, including Tulsa, Lawton, Fort Sill, and Oklahoma City. So go pick up a copy, or better yet, go online and check out the Black Chronicle in Oklahoma.
I love that. And for the latest in Black news and headlines that's inspiring and impacting the Black experience, you want to head over to BlackPressUSA.com. Somewhat of a new look. And you can watch older episodes of Let It Be Known. All you have to do is just Head on over there.
Head on over there. There you go.
There
Looks
you have
it's a little refresher to the
Yeah.
site. Folks, thanks again for joining us. And we welcome the self-haters, the racists, and all y'all. So
You
keep
know
coming
what,
back.
Stacy?
We'll see you tomorrow.
We say all are welcome here.
All right.
We agree to disagree.
All are welcome, even the self-haters and the racists.
You
But
know
guys-
what? You can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. Jump back. I want to kiss myself. I'll see you tomorrow.